Thanks for being here today. We appreciate it. Michigan baseball has a rich history. The traditions and legacies that have been established here by names like Moby Benedict and Bill Freehan, Don Lund, Ray Fisher, Jim Abbott, Branch Rickey, George Sisler, and we're so proud of Barry Larkin, who will only in a few short weeks be inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, and so many more players who have gone on to be successful professionally and represented this program and our university so well. Michigan started playing baseball in 1866. Over the last 146 years, we've had 18 head coaches lead this program. We recently conducted a national search, and we were both amazed and delighted with the interest level in this program, because I think everyone out there in the baseball community sees the potential that we have here at Michigan. We did what we always do. We wanted to look at the very, very best candidates. We wanted to see what the market looked like, and we wanted to select the very, very best fit for the University of Michigan. That search process was conducted in a very effective and efficient way, and it was led by Bitsy Ritt, who's here with us today. Bitsy is our Senior Associate Athletic Director and our Senior Women Administrator, and Bitsy did a great job, and I am very, very grateful. The reason I can say that is because I'm about to introduce you to our 19th head baseball coach in the history of Michigan baseball. And I just want to tell you a little bit about Erik. First of all, I want to make sure you meet Erik's family, his wife Jiffy. Stand, Jiffy, if you would. And Colt. Say hello to Jiffy and Colt. Nice to have you here. And you may notice that the Bakich family is getting a little larger real soon, and that's terrific. We were so impressed when Erik made his first visit. We've had him on campus twice. He's here for the third time today, and he's here to stay. We were so impressed with Erik. First of all, his reputation in the baseball community was rather unbelievable. We have a tremendous reach into college baseball and in the professional ranks, and we were able to go to a lot of people and say, you know, who are those 2 or 3 names that you really think would be a great fit for Michigan? And it was amazing to us how, on a regular basis, Erik's name popped up as somebody we should really talk to, and so we did. And as we got acquainted with him and learned about what caused this great reputation in terms of his ability to turn programs around, to win, to recruit tremendous athletes, the way he has been able to build a very impressive staff, and his commitment to academics are all the qualities and guiding principles that we believe in so strongly at Michigan Athletics. The thing that impressed me more than anything, because all of those qualities are terrific, but I was really impressed with his passion for the University of Michigan. Erik wants to be here, wanted to be a part of what the future holds here, and that passion and that commitment is something that can never be underestimated in terms of its importance. So it is with great pride and pleasure that I introduce you to our new head baseball coach, Erik Bakich. Erik?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. This is an exciting day for myself, my family, and for Michigan baseball. And like Dave said, you're going to see a lot of passion exuded from this guy right here. So. Without further ado, I'd like to thank Dave Brandon for this incredible opportunity. I actually knew that before I even met Dave that I wanted to work for him. And his leadership style and the fact that how his life had been impacted by a coach in Bo Schembechler and how my life had been impacted by my college coach as well, I knew that I wanted to get on board and I wanted to be at Michigan, first and foremost because of the tradition and what this elite university is, but also because Dave's here. And so that was a big deal. I'd like to thank Bitsy Ritt for making that first phone call to me. I certainly appreciate that, because that certainly got the ball rolling, and I wouldn't be here without her. The University of Michigan, one of the elite institutions in the world, and I couldn't be more excited to be a part of this university and this storied tradition. And Coach Maloney, I wanted to recognize Coach Maloney and his staff for the 10 years that they invested into this program to build these beautiful facilities, have a hand in that. Certainly one of the reasons that makes this job extremely attractive, and one of the reasons why we've got one of the best baseball stadiums in the nation, and to build upon the success that staff had 4 and 5 years ago, and that's extremely important. The other thing I'm extremely proud of is the coaching tree that I come from, and I wouldn't be here today without the impact that those guys have had in my life. The college coach that I played for, a guy named Keith LeClaire, who I played for at East Carolina, he taught me more about being a man and about character and about integrity than anyone I had ever met, and it certainly changed the direction of my life at the time, thinking I was going to go in one direction after baseball was over, to knowing that I wanted to have the same impact on baseball players and student athletes that he had had on me and my teammates. So he has passed away now, but he was a tremendous influence on me and the guys that I played with. Jack Leggett at Clemson, who gave me my first coaching job as a volunteer coach at Clemson, ironically enough, Coach LeClaire, who I played for and coached with, Coach Leggett, so I was able to stay in that same tree. And the things I learned about coaching, it's a whole different ballgame once you cross that line and go from player to coach. And to be able to get started at a young age and see how a class program like Clemson was run was certainly extremely important to my development as a coach. When I got there, I met a guy named Tim Corbin, who was the recruiter at Clemson at the time, and we spent 1 year at Clemson in 2002, advanced to the World Series, had a great season, and had the opportunity to go with him to Vanderbilt, and spent 7 great years at Vanderbilt and learned everything I know about recruiting from Tim Corbin, and that enabled me to get my first head coaching opportunity at Maryland, and then ultimately allowed that success to be able to have this position here today. But Coach Corbin is a tremendous friend. He's another person I consider a mentor and a leader in my life, and I wouldn't be here today without him. So I wanted to make sure I recognize those coaches that have been an extreme positive influence in my life. The University of Maryland, for giving me my first head coaching job. The players and the families, those relationships, a lot of tough phone calls in the last couple of days, but those relationships, that's what this is all about, and those relationships will continue, and I want to thank those players and those families that were a part of that program for the last 3 years, the coaches, the donors, the fans, and the administration there. I would be remiss not to mention them. And then most importantly, my wife, Jiffy, my son, Colt. Jiffy is a rock of stability and support in my life, and I would not be standing here today if she wasn't tolerable to 21-day recruiting trips and a lot of nights sleeping in the office, and she certainly allows me to do that. It's funny, when we found out, she's almost 8 months pregnant now, and so we found out pretty much last winter that she was pregnant, and we were talking, and I said, well, we've pretty much guaranteed we're not going anywhere this summer, and she said, yeah, right, unless Michigan calls, and she'll tell you that, and that was true. I had my eye on this place for a long time after getting our butts kicked by him at Vanderbilt in 2007. If you'd have told me 5 years ago that I would have the opportunity to lead this program, I don't know if I would have believed you, because this is a tremendous privilege and a tremendous opportunity. My big guy Colt right there, thank you to Jan Brandon, who gave him a bat. He's hit every wall on the way here, and all he wants to do is hit in the cage. I'm surprised he's not in there right now, but once he saw this place, he said, wow, this is nice, and then he immediately committed for the 2027 class. So we are ready to go, left-handed hitter, so we've got a good start on that. But Michigan, to me, this is about excellence, and it represents a standard of academic and athletic excellence that's unparalleled, and it's one of the elite institutions in the world. And it was just a place that I wanted to be a part of, and I couldn't have jumped at this opportunity fast enough. I made that very clear through the interview processes, and I couldn't be more excited for my family and I to be standing in front of you today. That excellence is going to be upheld by our coaches, by our players. In my opinion, student athletes, they're not just student athletes in the games. Their standard of excellence is going to be upheld not only in the games, but in the way we practice, in the way we train, in the classroom and in the community. And in those 4 areas, that standard of excellence, it's a privilege and not a right to be here. And so we're going to make sure that everyone is accountable and responsible for what this university represents on a daily basis. When I think about the Big Ten, I think about Michigan. To me, the Big Ten is Michigan. And when I think about Michigan, I think about that standard of excellence. I think about the Big Ten. I think about the Big House Pact. I think about maize and blue. I think about championships. And we are the class of the Big Ten. And we take a back seat to nobody. And we're going to make sure that that's going to be the case in baseball from here on out. It's about restoring the glory. Like Mr. Brandon said, you know, we've had some great success in the past. 4 and 5 years ago, we did some great things here with regionals and super regionals and hosting regionals, the teams in the 80s with Coach Middaugh and the great players that you see their pictures throughout this stadium and the history and the storied tradition. It's about restoring that passion, that tradition, that excitement, and that enthusiasm of what is Michigan baseball. And that's going to happen. And that's going to happen not overnight, but it's going to happen quick. And we're going to make sure of that because we're going to put a staff together that's going to uphold all of those values. This program is going to be predicated on recruiting and player development. One of the reasons I'm here is for some success that of the programs that I've been a part of in recruiting. And you know, great players make great coaches a lot of times, and it's amazing. I became a much better hitting coach when Pedro Alvarez was hitting third for us at Vanderbilt. But got to have good players, and it starts with your own state. And so the teams that have been the most successful at Michigan have had the best players from Michigan. And we are going to make sure from now on that the University of Michigan gets the best players in Michigan. And that's going to be our battle cry moving forward, that we're going to win championships here with residents of the state of Michigan and the very best players in Michigan, the very best players in this region, and the very best players in the nation. And those guys are going to represent that standard of excellence academically, athletically, and they're going to have the right character and the right makeup that we're looking for that is going to be at the part of the identity of Michigan baseball. But it's all about the relationships, and those relationships start in the recruiting process. They strengthen while these student athletes are playing here, and then they get even stronger. They get even stronger once these guys graduate and leave, and that leads into player development, because our goal is not only to develop these guys as baseball players, but that's just part of it. It's our goal to develop these guys academically, athletically, and socially. We got to make our players the best people that they can be, and one of our goals for sure is going to be to get these guys to reach their maximum potential. We're going to talk about that a lot, because if our players will reach their maximum potential in the classroom, on the baseball field, in the weight room, and as people, then the winning's going to take care of itself. The championships are going to be a byproduct of that effort, and that's something that we're going to work on a daily basis with a very process-oriented approach of getting better every single day. And we're going to take that approach, and it's going to be reiterated on a constant basis with our players, with our coaches, with our teams. Academically, the goals are going to be to achieve excellence in the classroom. We're going to have things in place, the 100% class attendance policy. We're going to have goals to have a team GPA of 3.0. We want to have a 100% graduation rate, just the things that should be evident in any baseball program or any college sports program. These guys are here to get degrees. Baseball is a small window of everybody's life. You've got to be a successful contributing member to society when life after baseball comes, because life after baseball comes for everybody. And so we're going to make sure we're very successful in the classroom, because the degree from Michigan is the name recognition alone is something that is extremely valuable. And these guys are going to understand they're here to get their degrees. Athletically, I think that's probably the part that we're going to see the fastest results, the quickest. Starts with the physical development. These guys are going to engage into a individual strength and conditioning and nutrition program, a baseball-specific training program. It's an accelerated development program where we're going to measure and they're gonna see their personal results skyrocket in a short amount of time, and they're going to gain confidence from that. And that development program is one of the big reasons why a lot of players, and the track record in the programs I've been a part of in the past, why a lot of players have had the opportunity to not only have a great deal of success in the college game, but also have an opportunity to play professionally, because they were able to maximize that development. What's most important, though, is their social development, and I would split that up into 3 categories, one being teaching these guys about servant leadership, teaching them about putting the team and other people, putting the needs of the team and other people ahead of their own. And that's something that we'll work on a daily basis. We'll have a leadership training program that falls in line with the great leadership that we have at this institution and in our athletic department. We'll teach these guys about perspective building, their outlook on how they view things, that compared to what mentality. And then we'll be very, very strong in the mental game. Teach these guys to control the things they can control, to have performance routines. In baseball, it's a game of adversity. It's a game of there's failure a lot of times, and you have to be able to have a routine when the garbage hits the fan, because the garbage hits the fan a lot in baseball. And so these guys are absolutely going to be able to make sure their confidence is at an all-time level, because they're going to learn. You're going to have to fake it till you make it sometimes with confidence in baseball, because confidence is the key. But this, from a recruiting and a development standpoint, those are going to be the pillars. Those are going to be the backbone of this program. And then for our program, the goals are about championships. And understanding that championships is not just about winning the championship game. Championships are about being a champion on a daily basis and controlling attitude and perspective and effort, having that process-oriented approach of getting better every single day. And of course, we're going to set a goal to win a national championship. That's what all the competitive teams in this country are doing, but understanding it's what it takes to get to that point, not just focusing on a national championship and focusing on Omaha. That's too far away. We're going to be focused. That's the destination. We're going to be focused on the journey. And it's about winning the super regional championship, winning a regional championship, winning the Big Ten conference championship, winning the Big Ten regular season championship, and then winning practice that day and getting better every single day that we have an opportunity to. So this program, as you can see, is going to be built on relentless energy. That's one of the things that I will commit to bring in every single day. My energy level will never subside. We gotta catch Hutch. Hutch has got to set the bar, and so we certainly want to catch up. The softball program gives me tremendous optimism of what baseball can do here, and not just do it once in a while, but do it on a consistent level. And she's someone that I have enjoyed meeting, and I'm going to look forward to spending time with and picking her brain on exactly how she does it. Like I told Dave in the interview process, I'm not from Michigan. I've never lived in Michigan, but I believe I have the values and the beliefs of what I think a Michigan man is. And I want to raise my sons to be Michigan men. And I can't tell you enough how fired up I am to be at Michigan. Go Blue.
Hey, Eric, nice to meet you. Michael Spath, the Wolverine magazine. You talk about winning championships. When you look at this program, and you mentioned Coach Hutch and what she's done in softball, why do you think, or do you think a northern school like Michigan in the Big Ten can have that kind of success? What leads you to believe that you can take those steps to get to super regionals on a consistent basis and end the Big Ten drought of, I think it's been 25 years since they've been to Omaha?
Yeah, hey, Michael. Yeah, you're right. The Big Ten hasn't reached the College World Series since 1984. The last team who did it was Michigan. So it's been done. I think Coach Hutch has built a tremendous program of consistency. In baseball, we got to find the things that are consistent among championship teams. And when you build a team to win championships, you build it based around pitching and defense. And that's certainly where we're going to spend our scholarship dollars and make sure that we are very, very strong on the mound and defensively. But the whole idea, the whole concept of it's been a drought or it's been a long time. I don't buy into that. There's no reason why, if we get invited to the dance, why we can't get hot and do what a couple of other northern teams did this year to reach and advance to the World Series. So it's not, once you get to the postseason, as you guys all know, it's not the best team, it's the team who's playing the best. And so we're going to make sure that we have every opportunity to get invited to that field of 64.
You mentioned great players make great coaches, and you've built a reputation as a recruiter. How does it change being in a northern school, your strategy in that aspect of coaching? Because there are certain difficulties with weather and things.
Right, yeah, and I think the experience at Maryland, which maybe not as north as Michigan, but certainly that concept of being in a colder climate, but it's just getting the kids to see the advantages of your institution and getting them to see what are the strengths, and you look around Michigan, you see a commitment to baseball and a tremendous baseball facility. You see a tremendous academic institution, one of the elite in the nation, and what you see is opportunity to recruit the right guys from our state, from the region, to come in and win championships, and that's going to create the opportunities to advance further and further into the postseason.
I'm sorry. Are you able to assess what's going on here from the time you saw them at their peak, which was '07, in the last couple of years, or is it too early for that?
Like I mentioned, what I saw 4 and 5 years ago, 6, 7, and 8, and the teams of the '80s were the best players in the state of Michigan coming to the University of Michigan, and we want to make sure that that's our #1 priority from a recruiting standpoint, is securing those guys. And that's a tremendous amount of pride for a player to be from the state of Michigan and get the opportunity to wear Michigan across his chest with his college uniform. We're going to make sure that happens.
Dave Garicki, Detroit News. Have you recruited the state of Michigan before?
Hey, Dave. Yeah, I've recruited nationally at Vanderbilt for 7 years and had players from all over. Been in every corner of this country, and that's the opportunity and the advantage you get at an elite academic institution like this is and like Vanderbilt is. And so look forward to putting a staff together who not only has connections to the state of Michigan, but also connections throughout the country. And I mentioned Hutch, and looking at her roster. Her roster is filled with Michigan players, players from Illinois, players from the Midwest region, and players from California, as well as a few others sprinkled in. And so I think we're going to follow that same model.
Erik, are you bringing anybody with your staff with you? Obviously, one of your assistants has very close ties to Michigan.
Yeah, I think obviously that would be something that I would be leaning towards. Absolutely. We haven't finalized anything yet, but absolutely that would be my intent.
And a follow-up on the recruiting aspect, you talk about obviously getting the kids from Michigan and the Midwest, as you just said, but because of the fact that you recruited down south, will you use those connections to go back down south to try to get kids?
I don't know if down south, certainly. The great thing about Michigan is that it's a web that's connected everywhere in this country, and there's probably going to be some players down south that may have a connection to the University of Michigan, where we absolutely wouldn't rule out any part of the country, but I think our focus is going to be right here in the state and then in the region, and then we'll branch out after that. And if that means we go to California or Florida or down into the Sun Belt in the south, then we certainly can.